I took a picture of her that day. There was something that shouldn't be there. My wife and I went to a museum a few months ago. We'd been talking about it for a while, just never had the time. Work, schedule, you know how it is. So we finally set aside a weekend and made the trip. It was about a 4-hour drive out the city, up in the mountains. The place was different. It wasn't just one building, it was spread out. Multiple structures connected by the open spaces. Some exhibits were outside, installations placed between trees and gardens. Some rooms were higher than others, connected by stairs and narrow walkways. From certain spots, you could see the city far off in the distance, past the mountains. The entire layout of this place was unique, but was certainly breathtaking. We spent the first couple of hours just exploring, taking pictures, reading off descriptions, stopping every now and then to rest. There were small cafes scattered around the place. When we went back, we came across a piece that stood out. It was a model of a building, decently sized. It was quite detailed. You could see the windows, doors. The structure looked like it was meant to hold something. There was only a small sign next to it. No descriptions about it, no details about the artist or when it was made. Just the title: The Prison. We took a minute just to look at it, trying to figure out what it was supposed to be. Then we moved along. The rest of the visit was normal. We went for a few more exhibits, some about the history of the place, old photos, artifacts. Eventually, we made our way outside again. There was this staircase that led down to another section. Good view behind it. Mountains, trees. My wife asked me to take a picture of her there, and so I did. At the time, there was this filter going around online, the one that turns photos into anime images. We thought it would be fun to try it out. So we sat down in one of the cafes, opened the photo, ran it through the filter. When it finished, it actually looked pretty average and generic. But there was something else in the image. There was someone standing behind her. An older man, maybe in his 80s, just standing there on the stairs. I remember thinking the filter probably just messed up something. It happens. It picks up shapes and turns them into people. Still, I checked back the original photo. There was no one there. We were alone in that section when I took it. We laughed it off, said the filter was just being weird. I closed it and we moved on. We kept walking through the museum, took more pictures, tried the filter again. And that's when it got uncomfortable. The same man kept showing up. Not in every photo, just the ones with my wife. Different angles, different locations, but always behind her. We checked the originals again and again. Nothing. No one there. At that point, it stopped being funny. We deleted the pictures, all of them. Didn't use the filter again. We decided to just head out. On the way back to the exit, I just told her, let's take one last photo. No filters, just a normal one. And she agreed. I held the phone out in front of us, framed the shot. We looked at it right away. There was no one behind us. But there was a pair of hands around her neck. And they weren't mine. I went to a museum for the first time as an adult recently. I never really understood why people like going to them. So I figured I tried it for myself. It wasn't far, just a train ride away from my apartment. The place was modern, open spaces, glass dividers, light everywhere. Since it was my first time, I joined a guided tour. Felt like the easiest way to understand what was going on. The guide walked us through different exhibits, explained where things came from, why they mattered. I find myself invested and fascinated. I started thinking to myself how cool it would be to just walk around on my own, take my time with it. During the tour, we passed by this one section. It was open, no signs or barriers, but no one went in. The guide didn't even mention it. We just walked past it like it wasn't there. I remember looking at it as we passed along. It was quiet and empty. That got me curious. I kept thinking about it. Why skip that part? What's in there? So the next weekend, I went back. Alone this time. The whole experience was different. Quiet, no one talking, no one rushing you along. So, I took my time, went through the same exhibits again, noticed more details this time. Then I made my way back to that section. Still no warning signs or barriers. So I went in. It opened to a long hall. The walls were lined with masks, all sorts of hats and helmets. They were made with different material: wood, leather, metal, stuff I'm not even sure of. A lot of them were detailed, with patterns and colors and different styles. Then I saw one that didn't quite fit. A plain white mask. No design, no markings, just blank. Like the kind you see in a craft store. The label just said, "Ordinary mask, white." That's it. I stood there for a bit. Something about it felt weird. I couldn't tell what it was. I thought maybe it was just the air or people talking somewhere far off. I moved on and just kept walking. I was just admiring the other pieces in the exhibit. After a while, I saw it again. The same white mask, Same spot. The whispering was still there. I stopped to look around. There was no one. Maybe they had duplicates? So I kept going. A few more displays, different masks, different materials. Then I saw it again. Same mask. I can't seem to reach the end of this hallway. All this time I kept walking, but I was seeing the same thing over and over. I walked faster, didn't stop, didn't look at anything else. Then it was there again. The mask. Whispers are getting louder and coming from all sides. I turn around. I slowly walk toward it. Not sure what to expect. The closer I got to it, the louder the whisper got. There really is something off with it. Inside the black holes of its eyes, it was reflecting something. Like a mirror. I leaned in for a closer look. And that's when I saw it. The mask. It was on me. I touched my face, but it's not there. But in the reflection, I was wearing it. Everything went quiet. I stepped back, looked around. The hallway didn't feel the same anymore. I managed to get out. I didn't look back. I went straight home, locked the door behind me. Stood there for a second, trying to calm down. And when I looked up, on my wall, it was there. Same plain white mask. I went to the museum alone that day. Just wanted something quiet. Walk around for a bit. There was this section with older pieces. Visual stuff. Not really my usual thing, but I ended up staying there longer than I expected. Most of the displays had short descriptions. Nothing too detailed. Then I saw this one exhibit. It was a dagger. It wasn't big, but it was placed on its own, away from the rest. It looked worn. It didn't even have a proper handle. Just strips of cloth wrapped around. The blade had a slight curve, and its edges uneven, like it had been sharpened over and over. There were marks along it. The description didn't say much. Ceremonial dagger, origin unknown. I leaned in a bit to have a better look, and I just said something under my breath. This one's interesting. Wonder how they use it and exactly what for. That's when I heard it. I looked around. There was a man standing behind me. He wasn't looking at the dagger. He was looking at me. I stepped away and moved to another room. I didn't think much about it. Until I saw him again. I walked up to him and asked, "Hey, Do you need something? He shook his head calmly. No, sorry. Then, that piece back there. You looked intrigued. I didn't say anything at first. He nodded slightly. Most people don't even stop and just walk past it, like he was making conversation. Yeah, it looked off. He smiled a little. Yeah, you'll find out why. That was the first time something felt off. It's not about what, but how he said it. I just nodded and started walking off again. He didn't follow right away, but a few minutes later, he was there again, keeping the same distance as he did before, but in a different room. I started avoiding him. I moved to different rooms and different sections of the museum. It didn't matter. He kept showing up. And every time, a little closer. I stopped by a wall display. He didn't stop this time. He walked right beside me. He slightly leaned towards the glass, like he was looking at the exhibit. And quietly, he noticed the markings. It's not like he was questioning it. And I said, yeah. He nodded. They were not random. They line up. I didn't respond, didn't ask what he meant. He turned his head just enough to look at me. Placement matters. That's when I stepped back. Told him, I think I'm good. And I started walking off, faster. This time he followed me right away. He wasn't even keeping his distance anymore. I could hear him right behind me now. He said, it doesn't take much. One person. That's enough. I turned around. What are you talking about? He didn't stop walking. Just looked at me. You'll find out soon. That's when I shoved him. Security stepped in almost immediately. They grabbed him, pulled him back. He didn't even resist. Didn't even raise his voice. He just kept looking at me. Like he knows something I don't. I left after that. That night, I tried not to think about it. Then I saw a news post. Break-in at the museum. It was in the same section. The dagger was gone. No suspects and no details. I just sat there for a while. Then I froze.